Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is your Vedic astrology coach Rahat Kapoor and welcome to my channel The Legit Astrologer. In my channel I make videos on Vedic astrology, I talk about transits. Yes, I will be making a video on Saturn's transit in sign of Pisces, Jupiter's transit in sign of Gemini, and Rahu and Ketu's transit in the sign of Aquarius and Leo in the due course. There will be a video on Saturn, but it is going to take some time, and please understand Saturn is making a transit in the sign of Pisces towards the end of March. However, it will not immediately start delivering results. Shane, it takes its own time in its own course and it gives you the results when it wants to give the results. So it will take its due course. Saturn will only start giving results when it changes its pada or the position in Navamsha, which is going to take a couple of more months. However, today this video is about Mercury's long transit in the sign of Pisces. Mercury is entering its debilitated sign, which is the sign of Pisces, on 27th of February, and it is going to stay in the sign of Pisces till 6th of May. So this transit is more than 2 months long. Mercury will also go retrograde. Some important dates: 27th of February, it enters Pisces. It will be conjoined with Venus, so it is getting Nicha Bhanga because Venus is in its exaltation sign. It is also conjoined with Rahu during this transit. On 15th of March, Mercury will go retrograde or Vakri, and it is going to stay retrograde for 24 days. And it will move in a direct motion on 7th of April. And then on 7th of May, 1 month from that time, it will enter the sign of Aries. So it's an unusually long transit of Mercury in the sign of Pisces. Now let me share with you some interesting facts about Mercury. Mercury is the only graha, the only planet that can cancel its own debilitation. It is a very self-centered graha. It is a very selfish planet. How can it cancel its own debilitation? The basic principle of cancellation of debility is when the lord of the sign or the lord who gets exalted in that particular sign is quadrant or kendra from the ascendant or the moon. And if you look at the lordship of Mercury, Mercury rules the sign of Gemini and the sign of Virgo. Pisces sign falls in the kendra house or quadrant house from both these signs, which is the own sign and the Multrikon sign of Mercury. Virgo is also the exaltation sign of Mercury, so it is also a planet that gets exalted in its own sign. So it's a very selfish planet. It focuses on himself. So Pisces sign is Kendra or quadrant from both these signs that Mercury rules. Therefore, it has the capacity to cancel its own debility. Such is the power of Mercury. So I do not consider Mercury in Pisces to be bad. If you look at some of the great personalities in the world, including Albert Einstein, who had a debilitated Mercury, and of course his level of intelligence is known to the mankind. Let us also understand that during this transit, Mercury will be conjoined Venus and Rahu. Venus and Mercury share a friendly relationship. Coincidentally, both these planets will go retrograde. One is exalted, the other is debilitated. So they will act in the opposite manner. From the time when Mercury is retrograde, which is that 24 days period between 15th of March till 7th of April, it will act as if it's an exalted Mercury. It will behave as if it's a Mercury in the sign of Virgo. It's an extremely powerful Mercury at that point in time. Rahu as a planet likes Mercury because Rahu feels very comfortable and at home in the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is a planet which very easily gets influenced, and Rahu loves to influence. So from that aspect, Rahu really likes Mercury. However, the remedy for this transit to avoid any ill effects either would come from Venus, who is exalted in the sign of Pisces and it's conjoined, or it will come from Jupiter, who rules the sign of Pisces. So wherever this axis falls in your chart, which is the axis of Virgo and Pisces, is going to experience deep intense conjunction, and it is going to experience some very intense energies over the next few weeks. This is the time for putting your acts together as far as communication and relationship matters are concerned. You have to be absolutely focused in terms of managing your partnerships, managing your relationship. Be very careful of your speech, avoid any quarrels, any arguments, particularly when it is about workplace relationship, when it is about personal relationships. Stay absolutely grounded, humble, This is a time that will pass. The energies are quite intense, and in this video I'll try and focus on how to positively accentuate the power of this conjunction and the transit of Mercury in the sign of Pisces. Another tip to share with you before we move forward: Mercury represents greed. Since it is the most selfish planet, it represents hard cash. It represents greed from a business mind, because Mercury gets debilitated in the natural 12th house of the zodiac belt, which represents expenditure, which represents losses. And one of the ways to counter greed is by helping others, is by donating. And this is the way you can help to channelize the power of Mercury and bring it out of debilitation, is to donate, to give, to offer help to those who need, to do it in the best of your capacity. This way you will strengthen your Jupiter, Venus and also Mercury during this transit. So the next 2.5 months is a very good time to make donations, particularly to children, about education, particularly to children related to their education, towards women, food items related to Mercury and Venus, in case they have a negative disposition in your chart, in case they rule not so good lordship in your chart. It is also a time to take a step back and realize our potential. It is also a time for devotion, because ultimate devotion comes from the natural 12th house, which is the sign of Pisces, and there are two Rajasic grahas, which is Mercury and Venus. So the energies are very high towards any kind of indulgence. So instead of indulgence, choose the spiritual path. Use mantras, use any kind of prayers that could help you sail through these complex energies. It is a time to take a step back, reevaluate the situation, reaffirm your key strengths and how you can build on your key strengths, because this is also a time to build self-awareness that could help you achieve success in workplace matters and also to become a better person. Mercury will be aspecting the sign of Virgo by its 7th aspect of desire. So Mercury desires you to fix your daily routine, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, overcome any sort of competition, and further results will be very specific to the kind of lordship Mercury has in your chart based on the ascendant or the moon signs. So in case you're running through Dasha Antardasha of Mercury, Venus, Rahu, or if you have prominent planets in the sign of Virgo, in the sign of Pisces, or even if you're running Dasha Antardasha of Jupiter, you're likely to be impacted by this transit. In case you'll be running Dasha Antardasha of Sun, because Sun will be joining these grahas very soon, even Saturn will be forming a conjunction with these grahas, you are also likely to be impacted by this transit. Therefore, I expect a large number of people to be impacted by these energies over the next couple of months. Now let's try and understand how this transit is going to have an impact on all 12 ascendant signs of the moon signs. At the physical level, you must read this transit from your ascendant sign. At a mental level, you can also read this from your moon sign. Let us begin with Aries ascendants. For Aries, Mercury is your 3rd lord and the 6th lord. It rules your efforts, change, courage, valor, your co-borns or younger siblings. 3rd house is also the house of communication. It is your 6th house ruler, which represents opposition, enemies of all kinds, deaths, diseases, daily routine, things that you do on a day-to-day basis. We also see job from the 6th house. This Mercury is making a debilitated transit in your 12th house. Therefore, there are two things that are happening. One, there is a Viparita Yoga in transit, and second, this Mercury is getting a Neech Bhanga by its own, because when a debilitated planet goes into the 12th house, it gets Neech Bhanga on its own. And this transit, Mercury is conjoined Venus and Rahu. So it will go debilitated, it will then go retrograde while being in a debilitated state, and then it will move in a direct motion in the first week of April. So these are the kind of energies that you could expect over the next 2+ months. This is a perfect time for you to donate. See, your lord of efforts has gone into the Vyaya Bhava or the house of expenditure. 12th house represents expenditure, losses and irrelevant efforts. On the brighter side, it represents your power to be more self-aware. So one thing is for sure, that you will have to put in a lot more efforts than usually you would do to achieve success and to support your ventures. So do not shy away from putting any of these efforts. Situation could go adverse. Eventually you will rise. From a spiritual point of view, this is a very good transit, because there are a lot of Rajasic energy and Tamasic energies which are there in your 12th house. So any spiritual practices you will be able to quickly adapt to these practices because Mercury is a very fast moving graha. It's a quick graha. Now, while it will go retrograde, it will look back at your 11th house. So it wants you to resolve some conflicts with your friends and don't make a lot of enemies during this time. Be very careful of other people. It will be aspecting your 6th house by its 7th aspect of desire, and Mercury is going to have a very strong sense of desire because when Mercury will go retrograde, its 7th aspect will be very powerful between 15th of March till 7th of April, and this is the time when it wants you to focus on your daily routine, things that you do on a day-to-day basis. This could also trigger job change or new opportunities to step into a good change for yourself. Whether this will be good for you or not depends on your ongoing dasha antardasha, but any prayers or mantras that you would use around this time should be related to Jupiter, or you could worship Shiva. Use a simple Sadashiva mantra, which is Om Namo Bhagavate Sadashivaya, and you will be blessed by this transit, and may you increase your spiritual quotient. And please remember, the spiritual journey is challenging. Towards the end, you do get a lot of peace of mind and increase your mindfulness, and I wish you the very best. Now let us talk about Taurus ascendants and what's happening with Taurus ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces. For you, Mercury is a Yoga Karaka Graha. It's a favorable planet because it's your 2nd lord and the 5th lord. So it plays a very important role in all financial and wealth related matters because these two are Lakshmi Sthan, or houses of wealth, an enormous amount of wealth. 2nd house is your accumulation, your storage space, and those people who you would like to protect. Therefore, we see family from the 2nd house. It's a Kutumb Bhava. It also represents your speech, what you say. 5th house represents your children, your unconditional love. Therefore, this is the house of future. We see progress of all kinds from this house. This Mercury is going to make a debilitated transit in your 11th house. And then Mercury will also go retrograde between 15th of March till 7th of April. And then it will make a direct transit on 7th of April, and finally on 6th of May it will move out from the sign of Pisces and it is going to enter the sign of Aries. So there are going to be very complex energies in your 5-11 axis because Mercury will be conjoined Venus, which is your Lagna Lord, and also Rahu around this time. They will be joined with Sun and Saturn. So a lot of complex energies are there. So thankfully a number of planets in the 11th house is mostly good, because most of the planet gives good results while it makes a transit in the 11th house. In spite of it being in a debilitated state, here Mercury is getting Neecha Bhanga thankfully throughout its transit because it is going to be conjoined with Venus. So there is a Dhan Yoga in transit because your 2nd and 5th house Lord has moved into the 11th house. Your Lagna Lord is in the 11th house. Sun is going to enter 11th house. Your Yoga Karaka Graha Saturn is going to enter the 11th house. So from a wealth creating point of view, this is a huge opportunity for you over the next couple of months in case you're looking to start a new, bigger, better source of income, or if you're looking forward to get an increase in your income and have some material comforts, material gains. You will be involved in a conflict situation with regards to your friends. So be careful. Be careful of venting out your emotions on social media platforms or with people who you would like to influence. If you were to influence them with your authority, with your communication, and with your poise, with the energies of Venus, which is the power of interaction. That is something which you were to build over the next few weeks. This Mercury is aspecting your 5th house by its 7th aspect of desire, and it is going to have a very strong desire when it goes retrograde. So it wants you to do some sort of goal setting, plan for your future. And when it goes retrograde, it will also be looking back at your 10th house. There are changes related to work, so it wants you to pen down some goals related to work. There could be stretch goals. You need to step out of your comfort zone. Workplace change is inevitable, but that could give you a better income, which is quite an important time for you. So if you were to start a new line of work, if you're expecting some profits, some dividends, some flow of finances coming in, this seems to be a favorable time. Mantras will definitely work for you. A simple Vishnu mantra could be highly recommended, which is Om Vishnave Nama, to channelize the power of Mercury and to support its transit move in a positive manner, because your 5-11 axis is pretty active. So you could use mantras related to Mercury or related to Venus. These are the two planets that you have to look up to during this time, and I wish you the very best. Now let's talk about Gemini Ascendants and what's happening with Gemini Ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces. Mercury is your Lagna Lord, Lord of the Ascendant. So regardless of the Dasha, Antardasha, Pratantardasha that you're running, Mercury's transit will mostly have an impact on you. It's the Lord of your first house, which is about yourself, your intelligence, your body, your vitality, your immunity, who you are. It also rules your fourth house, which is your comfort space, your Sukh Bhav, your mother, your homeland, your protection, where you feel most safe and secure. This is the house of mindfulness. This is the first Moksha Trine, because Moksha Trine starts from the fourth house. So for spiritual pursuits and activities, this house plays a very important role. Mercury is making a transit in a debilitated state. However, it is achieving Neecha Bhanga or cancellation of debility in your 10th house. Mercury is the primary significator of the 10th house of karma, of Karya Bhava, because Mercury represents business, Mercury represents work. It is an all work kind of planet, and it is a planet which very easily gets influenced, and this time it is under the good influence of Venus and a mixed influence of Rahu. It will also come under positive influence of Sun and Saturn as well over the next few weeks. So your 4-10 axis is pretty active. Workplace change, transformation, endings and beginnings are inevitable. Something is coming to an end which will mark a start of some exciting new beginning, and this could happen in a very quick succession. This time period could bring you sudden changes, sudden work results, a lot of mood swings, a lot of different kind of situations that you would deal with, and there will be other people involved, so you would encounter different styles of communication at your workplace, different behaviors. So you need to be prepared with dealing with all kinds of behaviors at your workplace, and there could be people with shifting tendencies, or you could create conflict situation with different people. Now this could give you a huge room for learning, but you have to be self-aware. Be aware of your key strengths and be very focused on your work. Do your duty, do your karma, because your Lagna Lord is making a transit in the 10th house. It is a nice, beautiful yoga. Your 5th Lord Venus is also joining Mercury in your 10th house. So build credible relationships, focus on your challenges, focus on your goals, your tasks, your duties. Success is guaranteed if you follow the path of righteousness, if you stick to your own work and mind your own work and your own business. Mercury is going to be aspecting your 4th house by its 7th aspect of desire. There's a very strong desire that Mercury has on your 4th house, which wants you to step out of your comfort zone and also focus on your mindfulness. Focus on balancing your personal life and your professional life, because that could have some conflict. So you need to focus on your health and well-being around this time. It's a complex work transit. Mercury is also going to be looking back at your 9th house while it's retrograde. So do what is right. Righteousness, this is the Dharma Bhava. Stick to your Dharma. Do your prayers. Either worship Goddess Lakshmi to support you, sail through this transit, use a simple mantra Om Lakshmai Nama, or read Shri Suktam on a daily basis, particularly on Fridays, and this could be quite helpful for you, and I wish you the very best. Let us now talk about Cancer Ascendants and what's happening with Cancer Ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces. For you, Mercury is the 3rd Lord and the 12th Lord. So on one hand, it rules your change, efforts, valor, courage, co-bonds, particularly your younger siblings, and your 12th Lord of expenditure, losses, your higher self-consciousness, your ability to give, your ability to donate, your ability to be more self-aware, your higher self-consciousness is seen from this house. This Mercury is making a transit in your 9th house of Dharma, Bhagya, long journeys, long distance travel, your father, Guru. This is the house of lineage. This is the most important trinal houses because it represents your decision making. It represents what you feel is right because it represents your principles most importantly. Mercury is going to go direct, then it's going to go retrograde for 24 days, then back direct in the sign of Pisces. So a lot of complexities, and Mercury is a very fast moving graha. It focuses on quick results, quick outcomes. So transformation karma is the key for you during this transit, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it is firstly looking back at your 8th house. So it wants you to take ownership of your own transformation. It is going to be aspecting your 3rd house by its 7th aspect of desire. So it will have a very strong sense of desire to focus on fast efforts, quick efforts, and multiple efforts. So do not shy away from putting efforts. And your 3-9 axis is pretty active, which indicates start of a journey. So you could either go on a journey or start a new project. It could be something interesting. It could involve communication. And if it involves other people, make sure that you reach out to them and get their support. Get a sense of buy-in from other people. You're likely to influence. You're likely to get into a lot of negotiation related conversations. So be prepared to handle some tough communication related situations. In case you're planning to go on a spiritual retreat, it could be an excellent time for you because there are retrograde energies in your 9th house and your 3-9 axis is pretty active. So please go on a spiritual retreat or do some spiritual sadhana, yoga, meditation. Any prayers and mantras will be very helpful. Look up to Jupiter, who is your 9th lord. Worship Lord Shiva or use a simple Guru mantra, that could be Om Guruve Namah, to help you channelize the energies of both Mercury as well as Venus along with Rahu, who are going to be sitting in the 9th house for the majority of this time. And please take charge of your transformation. This is your time to take things in your hands, and I wish you the very best. Now let's talk about Leo Ascendants and what's happening with Leo Ascendants as Mercury goes in the sign of Pisces, which is its debilitation sign, and this is happening in your 8th house. So when 8th house Mercury goes debilitated or any planet goes debilitated, it automatically by default achieves Neech Bhanga or cancellation of debility. And in this case, Mercury is also conjoined Venus. So there is again a Neech Bhanga which is there. This Mercury is your 2nd lord and the 11th lord. So for wealth related matters, financial matters, Mercury becomes an important planet for Leo Ascendants. It's more of a neutral graha and it shares a friendly relationship with your Lagna lord Surya. It looks up to Surya as a teacher, as a leader, as a guide, as a mentor, and this is something which you have to hold on to. The remedy for you lies with Sun and Jupiter during this time. Your transformation is in your hands. The Lord of Wealth, your family, Kutumba, your speech, what you consume, what you store, what you eat, and also the 11th Lord of material gains, bigger enemies, bigger problems in life, your wider social network, your ability to influence your purpose of life, because this is the house of fulfillment and the Lord of fulfillment is in the 8th house of transformation, life and death, longevity, sudden changes, sudden ups and downs in life, right? And this is also going to go retrograde. So there are complex energies in your 2 and 8 axis. So transformation is inevitable over the next 2.5 months. You are going to witness some massive changes, and these changes are eventually for your greater good. You definitely will be dealing with some relationship karma. There are 2 retrograde planets in your 8th house which are looking back at your 7th house. So please manage your conflicts, manage your relationship, listen to your partner and have a sense of understanding, because see, this is give and take. So you listen to your partner and your partner listens to you. As simple as that. You give respect, you get respect. You need to earn trust, and that is how you'll be able to build and sustain this trust. This is something which you must remember, and you could become secretive around this time. You could probably hide things. So this is something which you have to be mindful of. If it is in the best interest of yourself and your outcome, it is good. Otherwise, it could be detrimental towards relationship. One thing is quite certain, that you are likely to be soft spoken around this time, and you could have some transformation, some changes in your eating habits, in your dietary routine. So this is something which you also could be mindful, because Mercury is aspecting your 2nd house by its 7th aspect of desire. So it is giving you the power of making wealth. If you're expecting inheritance, this could be a favorable time for you. If you're expecting unearned wealth or wealth from certain sources which are not known to you, this could be a favorable time in case you have certain favorable dasha antardasha. Otherwise, you would likely do some financial management, financial planning, and make some decisions pertaining to your savings, pertaining to your investment, and go through some changes in your dietary requirement which could be good for you, and I wish you the very best. Let us now talk about Virgo Ascendant and what's happening with Virgo Ascendants as Mercury goes in the sign of Pisces, which is its debilitation sign. However, it is conjoined with Venus. It is achieving Nichbhanga. It's a long transit for more than 2 months. Mercury will also go retrograde while it is debilitated, which means it is going to momentarily come in an exalted state or an exalted feeling for about 24 days. And it will feel as if it's Mercury sitting in the sign of Virgo. And this Mercury is your ascendant lord, so you're likely to be impacted by this transit. It rules yourself, your body, your vitality, your immunity, who you are. It is also your 10th lord of karma, your action in the society, your work, your professions, what you do in order to sustain yourself in this world and take care of your loved ones. It is all about your duties. This Mercury is making a transit in your 7th house of marriage, relationship, partnership, those people who are opposite to you. This is the Jaya Bhava, which represents peace and also war. Mercury's placement in the 7th house is generally considered weak because it gains direction strength in the 1st house. 7th house is opposite to the 1st house, so it is directionless. It has zero direction. Plus, it is debilitated, so it's a double whammy kind of a situation. Thankfully, you have a Venus there, which is a significator of the 7th house, and it is also in an exalted state. So, it is getting some support from Venus. During the retrograde time, Mercury will be looking back at your 6th house. So watch your enemies, watch any kind of opposition and avoid building strong opposition around this time. Focus on meaningful relationship. Make friends with your enemies momentarily. This would help you to avoid getting into difficult situations, and this is something which you could be mindful of around this time. This Mercury thankfully is aspecting your 1st house. So it will have a very strong desire towards yourself to build intellectual capabilities, to improve your management style. Both Mercury and Venus will be aspecting your ascendant along with Rahu. So Rahu is expanding and it gains direction strength in the 7th house. And of course, while aspecting your ascendant, they are improving your personality, but they are complex energies. So you could have shifting tendencies when it comes to decision making. It could be very difficult for you to stick to one thing. So make sure that you think through, take due consultation of your partner or some trusted advisor, someone who you are close with, and you could be benefited because your partner could really go out of the way to support you, to help you around this time, particularly if you're married. Listen to them, build credible relationship. From a remedy point of view, look up to Venus, worship goddess Lakshmi, or use simple mantras related to Venus to help you sail through this transit. And please, this is an opportunity to improve your personality, to enhance your communication and the power of interaction, because Mercury represents communication, Venus represents interaction, and both of them are having a connection with your 1st and the 7th house, and this is your chance, and I wish you the very best. Let us now talk about Libra Ascendant and what's happening with Libra Ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces, which is happening in your 6th house. So by default, Mercury gets Nichbhanga or cancellation of debility, because if it's a debilitated planet in the 6th house, it gets cancellation on its own. And Mercury anyway has the power, the capacity to cancel its own debility, and this is something I have explained in the first few minutes of my video. You can watch it. Mercury for you is an important planet because it's your Bhagyesh, it's your 9th lord, so it rules your fortune, dharma, bhagya, long journeys, higher education, higher spiritual education, spiritual learning, your father figure or guru, and all kinds of higher learning are seen from the 9th house. It is also your 12th lord of losses, expenditure, your higher self-consciousness, your sleep and bed comforts, your ability to be more self-aware. This Mercury is making a transit in your 6th house, which is a Dusthana. This represents debts, diseases, health and well-being, your daily routines, job, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, opposition. Since Mercury shares a friendly relationship with your Lagna Lord Venus, this time period is going to help you overcome opposition of any kind. Mercury naturally gets exalted in the sign of Virgo, which is the natural 6th house. Therefore, from a placement point of view, it's a good placement for Mercury. Mercury does very well in the 6th house because it's a fast moving planet. It wants to make quick decisions. So it will help you sort out your daily routine and daily things and bring some quick wins in your personal and also at the job front, particularly if you are in a job, if you have a routine work. It will help you build some quick victories. You have to look ahead, you have to move on, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it is looking back at your 5th house. So it wants you to focus on future related pursuits. Bury the past and what has happened. No point regretting, no point thinking or worrying about some of the bad decisions or not so good decisions or some bad events that you've had, but move on. Look forward. It's more of a forward looking transit for you. And from a spiritual point of view, it is very good. It is excellent because Mercury is aspecting your 12th house. Venus is also aspecting your 12th house, which is your Lagna Lord, Ascendant Lord. And they have a very strong sense of desire as they go retrograde. So practice spiritual sadhana, meditation. The remedy for you is to donate those who need. Donate towards children's education, donate towards women and women welfare, or help the needy in the best of your capacity. This is your chance, this is your opportunity. In case you are looking forward to settling outside of your home country or traveling to a foreign land or obtaining a permanent residency or trying to move related to your job, this could be a favorable time. This could make things trigger and of course trigger events in case your Dasha Antardasha is supportive. Use mantras related to Venus and you will be blessed by this transit, and I wish you the very best. Let us now talk about Scorpio Ascendants. What's happening with Scorpio Ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces, which is happening in your 5th house. 5th house is a powerful house. It represents your future, your children, unconditional love. This is the house of progress. This is the house of growth. Mercury is a fast moving planet, so it could bring quick results. And it is spending considerable amount of time in your 5th house along with Venus and Rahu. Very soon, Sun is going to be joining these planets, Saturn is going to be joining these planets. So we'll see a greater conjunction in this house, and your 5-11 axis is going to be pretty active. Mercury is your 8th lord and the 11th lord. So it doesn't rule very good lordships for you. It rules longevity, which is the 8th house. Sudden transformation, sudden changes. This is the house of secrets, your secret space. Inheritance is also seen. Your relationship with the in-laws is also seen from the 8th house. Fulfillment in your marriage or partnership is seen from the 8th house. And this is also the house of research related subjects, hidden knowledge. We see occult and Jyotish sciences from the 8th house. It is also the 11th lord of your gains, your wider social network, your ability to influence. Bigger enemies in life are seen from the 11th house and 11th lord, because this is 6th from your 6th house by the concept of Bhavat Bhavam. Mercury in 5th house generally does well. It is a natural benefic. It is conjoined Venus. So there are some positive energies in the 5th house, and them going retrograde is good for you from an ascendant point of view. This Mercury will have a very strong sense of desire and an 7th aspect on your 11th house. So it wants you to bring some quick wins in your life, which could get you some gains, which could help you increase your income. So this is forming a yoga, a Dhan yoga in transit, but this Dhan yoga is solely dependent on your efforts and driven by the kind of relationship that you will build over the next couple of months. So focus a lot on building credible, long-lasting relationship. There is no scope of getting into heated arguments, discussions or conflict situation, because you could have some authority issues otherwise. So this is a time or space where you have to be a little bit careful. This Mercury will also be looking back at your 4th house while it is retrograde. So it wants you to step out of your comfort zone and be change ready and be prepared for new projects, new assignment, things that you're going to be doing for the very first time. Take up new challenges and you will sail through with flying colors. You have to step out of your comfort zone. This is the key message for you. The remedy for you lies with Jupiter. Use prayers, mantras related to Jupiter. Worship Lord Shiva during this time or worship Lord Hanuman, which will strengthen your ascendant. This is a key message for you. Take control of your own transformation. Step out of your comfort zone. Be change ready and focus on things that you do on a day-to-day basis. Be prepared for future. Your intellect should be in future planning and building credible relationships that could support your transformation journey and that could help you gain wealth. And I wish you the very best. Now let's talk about Sagittarius ascendant and what's happening with Sagittarius as Mercury goes in its debilitation sign of Pisces. For Sagittarius, Mercury rules two Kendra houses. It has dual roles. It is your 7th lord and the 10th lord. 7th lord of marriage, partnership, relationship, harmony, those people who are opposite to you. This house represents peace and also war. It is the house of your outer world of people, things and events. Mercury also rules your 10th house, which is the house of Karya, profession, your actions in the society, your karmesha, things that you do to survive and sustain yourself in this world, your work, your duties. Why are you there in this world? Mercury also becomes Badakesh or Lord of Obstacles because it is the 7th Lord and you are a dual sign. So it also brings obstacles of all kinds. This Mercury is making a debilitated transit in your 4th house. In 4th house, Mercury gains Maran Karak or death-like position. It is good and it is also bad. It is good in the sense that when Lord of Obstacle goes Maran Karak, it reduces or it finishes obstacles. So thankfully for the next 2+ months, you will be free from obstacles. You have blessings of Lord Ganesha. It is not so good because this way Mercury is somehow losing its signification. So your communication is going to be impacted. Your intellect is going to be impacted. You could have karma related to your relationship and related to workplace, and particularly workplace relationship. This is something which you need to improve. So there could be some issues with regards to workplace environment that could bother you or be of concern. But you need not worry about this time because this Mercury is also forming a yoga. While it will go retrograde, it will look back at your 3rd house. It wants you to put extra efforts, watch your efforts consciously and be very focused about it. You would need to put quick efforts on a daily basis and do not shy away from it. Your 4 and 10 axis is pretty active. See, Mercury is thankfully conjoined Venus, who gains directional strength in your 4th house. Both of them are aspecting your 10th house by the 7th aspect of desire. So Mercury has a very strong sense of desire to help you pick up some new projects, new assignment, and Venus is also supporting building credible work-related relationships. But you could have shifting tendencies. You could see people in different kinds of mood or behavior at workplace. You would need to step out of your comfort zone. You would need to change yourself, your personality, your behavioral pattern. So be change ready, because what you need to focus more on is your inner feeling, because if your feeling changes, then the meaning changes. So focus on looking at good in small things. Otherwise, you could develop a pessimistic approach, which you need to avoid. Otherwise, you would keep cribbing about and dealing with all the negativity in your life. Focus on those little good things which could help change the outer meaning and help you live a fulfilling life. You have to focus on mindfulness, practice meditation, practice yoga, sadhana, meditate. This will help you strengthen your mind and give you a better decision making capability, and I wish you the very best. Now let's talk about Capricorn ascendant and what's happening with Capricorn ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces. That is happening in your 3rd house of efforts, valor, courage, change. Co-borns or younger siblings are seen from the 3rd house. This house also represents communication. Mercury is the natural ruler of the sign of Gemini and the sign of Virgo. Gemini is the natural 3rd house of zodiac belt. Therefore, Mercury feels at ease when it is in the 3rd house. It is a comfortable position. For you, Mercury is the 6th lord and the 9th lord. So it rules one important house, which is the 9th house of Bhagya, fortune. So it becomes your Bhagyesha, Lord of fortune, the giver of fortune, rules your father, your higher education or spiritual knowledge, long journeys. Spiritual journeys are seen from the 9th house. The support of luck or fortune or bhagya is seen from the 9th house, and this house plays a very important role in your decision making capability, because when bhagya is favorable, we make the right decisions in life and go on the right path or right track in life. Mercury also rules your 6th house of daily routine, job, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, your health and wellness, your debts, diseases, opposition, your enemies. This Mercury is making a transit in the 3rd house. It is kind of a Viparita yoga in transit because your 6th lord is in the 3rd house. So of course, any efforts that you put will be good from a job prospects point of view, and also the ability to create wealth, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it is looking back at your second house, so it wants you to do due diligence in financial matters. So you have some financial karma, you also have karma pertaining to your family and pertaining to your dietary requirements. You're likely to undergo some change, but yes, make sure that you are very protective of your saving, of your finances, and do some financial management. You are likely to take some decision which could be pertaining to your existing investment or saving, or you could venture into new saving opportunities and try to have a long term aspect, because you would be under the influence of Rahu during this time. So this is something which you must avoid. Mercury is aspecting your 9th house by the 7th aspect of desire. There's going to be a very strong sense of desire while Mercury goes retrograde between 15th of March till 7th of April. So this is where it wants you to very strongly focus on dharma, focus on dharmic pursuits, go on journeys, and if it is a spiritual journey, it could be good for you. If it is for leisure, it is again great, because there are retrograde energies in your 3rd house. In case you live outside of your home country, there could be certain issues that you could deal with regards to real estate there, or you could purchase a land or an apartment or a real estate outside of your home country where you were born. This could be a favorable time for you in case your dasha antardasha is supportive. In case you have some paperwork related to PR, this could also be a favorable time related to permanent residency in case your dasha antardasha is being supported. Make sure that you journal. Mercury is communication, Venus is interaction, Venus is also gratitude. Both of them are in your 3rd house, which represents your hand. Write about gratitude, things that you're grateful of, and enhance your communication to build credible relationships. This is the best remedy that you can have around this time, and I wish you the very best. Let us now talk about Aquarius ascendant and what's happening with Aquarius ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces, which is happening in your 2nd house of wealth, your family, kutumbha bhava, vani, your speech, what you consume, what you eat, your storage space, those people who you would like to protect, and that is why we see family from this house or this bhava, because family is the one who we like to protect. This Mercury does very well in the 2nd house because Mercury represents communication, and when the Lord of communication that represents communication, the significator, is entering in your house of speech, it is naturally likely to bring a sense of intelligence, management capabilities, and a sense of poise, because there is Venus also who is conjoined Mercury around this time. So you are going to improve your speech. You're also going to experiment with eating habits, so you're likely to indulge. Avoid overindulgence, but go for a healthy, balanced routine. So see, if you have a transformation coming in your eating habits, in your dietary routine, and if you're aware of it, make sure that you make some better decisions which are in the best interest of your health and well-being, because your health and well-being should be a #1 priority over the next 2+ months. Mercury is your 5th lord and the 8th lord. 5th lord of future, your children, unconditional love. So there could be progress related to your children. Your children could get recognition, or in case those people who are looking forward to having a child, this could be a favorable time for you in case your dasha antardasha is supportive. This Mercury is giving you a dhan yoga, wealth yoga in transit, and so is Venus. So there are a couple of wealth yogas which are activated. So your financial position is going to see some improvement. In case your dasha antardasha is supportive, it could be a massive improvement that you could see. Mercury is also 8th lord of inheritance, or your hidden nature, life and death, longevity. This is the house of secret. Secret spaces are seen from the 8th house, our hidden desires. And this is a very spiritual house as well, because it is a part of the moksha trine 4, 8 and 12. This house also represents occult, Jyotish sciences, and all the hidden subjects are seen from the 8th house. Now this Mercury, while being in the 2nd house, will be aspecting your 8th house by its 7th aspect of desire, and while it goes retrograde between 15th of March till 7th of April, it will have a very strong sense of desire. So it desires you to bring quick transformation, take ownership of your transformation and change in a very fast manner. You will not get a lot of time, because if you give it time, if you stay in your comfort zone, it is going to be extremely difficult for you to cope up with this change. So anything comes up, accept it, move on. Quick wins. Focus on quick wins and quick financial gains. So any strategies that you could build, that you could put in practice, could be eventually very good for you. This Mercury is looking back at your ascendant, so it wants you to focus on your vitality, your immunity. Your personal care should be your top priority. This also includes pampering yourself, which is an excellent remedy for you. Since Mercury and Venus are sitting in the house of speech, use mantras either related to Lord Vishnu or Goddess Lakshmi, and I wish you the very best. Let us now talk about Pisces ascendant and what's happening with Pisces ascendants as Mercury goes debilitated in the sign of Pisces. This is happening in your ascendant. So firstly, please welcome Mercury, Buddha in your ascendant, in your Lagna, and it's a long transit, unusually long, more than 2 months it will last, and Mercury is conjoined Venus, it is conjoined Rahu. Very soon they will be joined with Sun, and also Saturn will make a part of this conjunction. Heavy energies in your first house. Expect personal transformation, expect physical transformation in the coming months. Now, Mercury is your 4th lord and the 7th lord. It has two kinds of things that it represents for Pisces ascendant. So firstly, it has Kendra lordship. So it's supposed to be good because it's your 4th lord of comfort space, your safe space, mother, homeland, your protection, your mindfulness, your first step towards moksha or spiritual liberation, and also your 7th lord of relationships. Not particularly relationship, but those people who are opposite to you and your ability to deal with. And your ability to deal with people define your relationship. Therefore, we see marriage from the 7th house. This house represents conflicts as well, peace and war. And this is a part of any partnership, any relationship. Agreements are seen from the 7th house. And this Mercury is making a transit in the first house of your ascendant, okay, your Lagna. Mercury gains directional strength or is Digbali when it is sitting in the ascendant. So therefore, there are blessings of Lord Vishnu, Shri Hari during this time. So look up to him, look up to Shri Hari, look up to Shri Vishnu, and you will be blessed by this transit. You have to make the most. In spite of Mercury being debilitated, there is Venus also making a transit in your ascendant. Mercury is getting Nichbhanga, cancellation of debility. This Mercury is helping you to improve your communication, to help resolve any kinds of conflict that are there in your relationship, and also to improve your personality, build management capability and the power of building credible relationships. See, Mercury is also Badakesh for you, Lord of Obstacles, because it rules your 7th house and you are a dual sign. Lord of Obstacles coming in the ascendant, you must worship Ganesha or Ganpati. So before you do any prayers, think about him and worship him, or it is an excellent time for you to keep a Ganpati yantra in your place of worship in case your Dasha Antardasha is supportive and you could be blessed. This Mercury is aspecting your 7th house by the 7th aspect of desire. It is going to have a very strong sense of desire while it is retrograde. So it wants you to listen to your partner and leverage the power of communication and improve your relationship. For those people who are looking forward to getting married or having a new relationship, this could be a favorable time for you. This could be a favorable time for you to resolve any past conflicts. And see, this Mercury will also be looking back at your 12th house. So it wants to focus on your mindfulness, your spiritual sadhana, and your expense management. Both Venus and Mercury, while they go retrograde, they want you to curtail your expenditure. They want you to protect yourself from any losses or any kind of debt. So this is something which you have to be careful and mindful of, and I wish you the very best. So friends, this was another unique video on Mercury's debilitated transit in the sign of Pisces, where it is conjoined Venus and Rahu and achieving Nichbhanga. I hope and believe Mercury's transit in the sign of Pisces brings a sense of renewed energies in our devotion, in our spiritual sadhana, in our mental well-being, and help us be more self-aware to understand our key strengths and how we can build on our strengths and improve and build credible relationships. Thank you very much. God bless you all.